Okay. I said 6:05.
Yes, you did.
I don't care who's in the
Yes, ma'am.
room. We are making the Mercedes-Benz Misha Benz Stadium work with Sarah's background. So I would say welcome everybody to the room, and I mean everyone. Thank you, Sarah, for giving us the platform to sit here with you in Kennesaw University. And I'm sorry, it should be Dr. Sara E. Davis because she has got her PhD out of Kennesaw in family business. Okay, family organization, family enterprise. And the trees in the back tells you that she is building that type of family that I'm talking about. And of course, we have the Mirah Young. I am Mirah Young, author, philanthropist, angel investor, VP of small business. I can go on and on of what she does every day. Give us a smile, Mirah, and we are here with her. And I can't wait to give Dr. Davis so much more credit because we have her here and she has had a week like I have had. It has been an absolute beauty. I will take this mic and give it over to Mirah so she can start giving us a few hints on what happens in the generational handover in this AI arena. So I thank you for the conversation that we're about to have, Sara and Mirah. Sara's going to give us all the academic pieces that we always miss, and Mirah's going to give us the experience of real
Mhm.
trial error, what we do every single day. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you guys. Thank you, Misha, for that intro. That was amazing. And thank you, Sarah, for having us back again to be here to speak to not only your audience, but to anyone that is open to listening about this topic about leading family business teams in the age of AI. Now, if anyone knows about leading teams in general, it can be a task. It can be something that is like if you are even if you are meant to lead can mentally drain you sometimes. But how do we lead in the age of AI, where we have multitude of documents or multitude of emails, and every email sounds like it's written straight from ChatGPT. You can't get around it now. So, but now we're doing more video calls or more in-person calls now that we're out of COVID. So our main objective today is to talk about if you are a family business or if you are a business that is trying to lead some top platforms that you can lead with as a family and how to really niche down on those. Something that we find in family businesses, or I find a lot, is especially in my family business, is the generational changes, the generational gap between family businesses. And that looks like in our family business, everybody knows that the how-tos live inside of our heads and not on paper. And if someone retires, say you get busy or you just need some time off, the process doesn't really live on because only a couple people may know that process, or maybe it's still living in your head. Or if you're a person that you work at a company, but only Uncle Joe know how everybody get paid, it's time for you to change your processes. So one of the platforms I want to talk about today is Scribe How. Scribe How is a platform that has helped us, an AI platform that has helped us to be able to turn our training into training videos. So it's just like if you're saying something one time on so let me give you an example. You may hear the same story that you have a friend and they tell the same story every single time they meet someone new. And you're like, "Oh, this is, I've heard this story 1,000 times, but this might be the first time your new friend is hearing it." Versus someone that decides they're not going to keep on telling their story, they're going to record their story and you can watch it on YouTube. That's what we want to do. We want to get our processes recorded so that you know exactly how it should be done and exactly in what manner. Because the problem becomes we're training our team differently. I might train differently from how Sarah trains. Now the person is confused, like, but this person told me this last time. So one way of doing everything, and all of that can be housed in Scribe How, and people can have that understanding in Scribe How. So when we talk about leading teams, the first thing we must understand is how to train those teams and how to onboard those teams with a step and repeat process. So I
Mhm.
want to hand it over to Sarah to kind of talk about what does training look like in family businesses from your expertise.
So I love this idea of professionalizing your processes, Mira. And if you can use some sort of screen recording or AI to help in that process, it makes it so much more palatable. So often with businesses that I work on, especially if they're in the growth stage, and it doesn't matter if you're growing from your first sell to your hundredth, or if you're trying to hit that $100 million mark, growth is painful and it's difficult. And
Hmm.
part of that is because of what you hit on earlier, this idea that I know how to do it, it's in my head, and so I can do it faster. And
Right.
very often we think, well, I'll just keep doing it myself. But at some point, you have to hire someone else to be part of your team if you want to grow. And so by bringing someone else in, that's not enough. You have to take it to the next level and they have to actually know what it is that you know. And that's scary. That's time consuming. I'm sure everyone in here has gone through an onboarding process where they feel like you have to start at ground zero and then they ask why. And it's, I don't know why. This is just how we do it. And
Right.
it takes so much time and it's overwhelming. And so one of the biggest hurdles to growth is not wanting to have to bring on people and train them. And so this idea of finding a way to routinize that, to make a video and pass out the video, or have AI track your movements on a computer screen so other people can follow that, is
Mhm.
an excellent way to implement AI and make growing your business easier.
Beautifully said. I couldn't say it better myself. I think that that is when you're leading any team, you want to have a answer to give them to their why. Because I think when we work in companies, a lot of the times we don't understand why individuals are doing why are we doing this? You have no idea. You don't know why you're getting paid. You're just like, I'm getting paid to be here to press this button every day. And if I'm not here to press this button, it don't get pressed. That's all you know. But but it's a deeper reasoning of why your job matters, and
Hmm.
showing individuals, especially in family businesses, this is why your job matters. This is why it's important, because it gives you the opportunity to give other people opportunities. Or, if you don't complete this project or make this sale, then we won't be able to make another sale or get another, or get that satisfactory for that reporting and that evaluation. And understanding that, I think that that helps team members feel like they have a value and a purpose
Hmm.
in the company to want to be like, okay, now I'm all in.
Yeah.
Versus just being like, this is why we do this. Because in a family business, you can get so caught up in the ways of which things have been done for so long that you forget the importance of why it is being done.
Hmm. We often talk about job satisfaction and this idea that how satisfied you are with your job not only predicts your intentions to leave the company, but also your performance and so many other really important things. And so, as managers, we should care about job satisfaction because it impacts the business. And one of
Mhm.
the things that's tied to job satisfaction is this understanding of why we are doing what we do. So we know we push a button, but why do we push that button? And why do we
Right.
push it when we push it? And so understanding the importance that we play in the overall process helps employees feel more satisfied and more connected with their job. And this is especially important when we're talking about family businesses because it doesn't matter how good of an employee you are, you will never be family. So
Mm,
how can you bring people in a way that they feel valued? Because
yeah.
it's the family that is benefiting from the business.
Yeah.
So how can we ensure that the employees are also benefiting?
That is so
Oh, Misha,
true.
you have something to say on that one.
Yeah, you know I had something to say on that one because that's a huge struggle. When you have an employee, employees, people that have been employees for a long time, they want to know their equity. I want to know my
Mhm.
worth. right?
Mhm.
You're about to sell this business. How much am I getting? Misha, how much am I getting? Sarah, how much am I, what am I supposed to do? Now you come to me as what? A small business owner. And we're trying to grow. We want to sell. We want to keep these people. So now I'm gonna say, oh, Sarah, how much equity I'm supposed to give? So now I'm
Yeah.
calling Sarah, I'm calling Michael Robinson, I'm calling Marcus Dorsey to figure out, oh my gosh, this lady that is more valuable than we thought. If we lose her, how do we look at the value in her? So how do
Hmm.
we add the equity in people that's not family? So that's when we start building those three circles. I learned
Yeah.
when I did a Harvard University type family business. That's how I understood, Sarah. This means so much to our community as small business, mid cap, and bigger businesses. The people on the call may say, "But that's not my business. That's not what I came to do. I've been working for you for 10 years. Now
Yeah.
what's my plan, Sarah? What is my
Yeah.
plan if I'm working for a small to mid cap business? What's that equity plan look like? What are we building out for them?
And it can look different for every single company. What works in one business doesn't work in all businesses. So find out what matters to your employees. Is it capital? Do they want to part ownership in the business? And for some businesses, that works very well. Some might not want to be bothered with the extra paperwork that requires. And that's okay too. Maybe they are more concerned about alignment with values. So a lot of people will go work for a family business because they believe in the core values of the family.
Yeah.
And so that means that that family business has a duty not only to their family, but also to their employees to ensure they're upholding those values. Because if you go to work for a company who believes in environmental sustainability, and then they all of a sudden stop engaging in behaviors that are
Mhm.
sustainable, there's a misalignment, and now your employees are going to be a little resistant. And so knowing what matters to your employees is incredibly important for putting forth a sort of package for them. You want to invest your resources, your time, and your energy where it matters.
And I definitely believe in that's where the culture is the dollar. And
Hmm.
that's the equity. And you just mentioned it. You may have not said it like that. We know how me and you go back and forth. So for me, what Sarah has just said is make sure you know your employee or
Hmm.
make sure you know your fam employee, whatever you want to call it. Make sure you know what they want, why they're here, what changes their lives, and what has changed their lives. And it's super, it seems simple until it's not. So, right, you simplify it and then you say, okay, now let's unwrap that equity for, okay, hey, Dr. Davis, I've been presented with 3% equity on a family project. What do I do now?
Yeah. It it's it it's so deep. Like you have to really understand all the key players and what their ultimate goals are to know what the right behavior is. So do you buy into a family business if you're a non-family member? Maybe, but you'll now just be you'll move from being a manager who was a not family member to now an owner who's not a family member. And so 3% sounds great if they're paying dividends, which a lot of family businesses don't. I mean, there's tax advantages to doing it one way or another. Marcus can come in and tell us a little bit more about those, but it's not uncommon to see family businesses not paying dividends. So is that 3% really worth the headache of now you have to partake in these owner discussions in which you will always be a minority shareholder and a minority voice? So it could be great. It could be awful. It's going to depend on so many other factors. And so knowing what matters to your employees
Right.
and some of those unintended consequences. Like if someone was like, you can be part of my business, I'm like, great, I'd love to. And then they're like, I never want to hear what you have to say. All of a sudden, I don't feel so valued. Maybe I was better off staying manager and not having equity. So there's not a simple solution. We often use the phrase, if you've met one family business, you've met one family business because they're all
Okay.
different.
Yeah,
Okay. Okay.
I agree with that. And I want to piggyback off of the culture
Yes.
aspect. Because when we talk about culture, just back to our core topic, AI is now part of our culture. It's not just a tool that we're using. But if you're on this call and you are not a business owner or a family business, you can use AI as a tool to give you leverage to become a better employee and make yourself more valuable to
Mhm.
individuals, to individual companies that may feel like they don't want to get bogged down with all this AI stuff. Because let's be real, if you're going into a company that has been running well for the last 100 years without AI, it's like, why start now? I don't need it. Y'all can write an email, y'all can figure it out. It's not that hard. And then also feeling that maybe you are using AI or your company is using AI and now you feel like that AI tool is doing what I used to do. Now I'm going to be replaced. Showing a value in another way that AI is a tool that can be used and how it can't replace you. And I think that that's some things that need to be exemplified as an employee, showing like, okay, yes, you may have a note taker that can be an AI note taker and transcribe everything everyone is saying, whether you're using Outer or Fireflies. But what you don't have is someone that can give context to what is actually going on. They just know these are the notes, this is the high level, summary, but they don't understand the context of maybe how many calls have been made before this or how many calls had to be made after this just to get this person on this call and what the importance of this means. So I think that it's a value you can add within any company culture,
Mhm.
whether you are a employee or you are a business owner. Mainly if you are an employee, you want to exemplify your value as how AI can be an addition to your role. Whether that's closing a deal, meeting a deadline, whatever it may be, but you don't want to have AI overtake your role where now you're really just sitting around trying to figure out what do I do next because AI is doing the note taking, AI is doing the PowerPoints, AI is doing this, is doing they're reading through the documents that I once read over and made highlights for. Now I can put that in Humana. I don't have to do that. So now where does that leave me? So I think that for the people that are on the call that may feel like I may get left behind if I don't figure out how to use AI properly, it should be more of what tools can I use to enhance my role to
Mm,
that this role is needed more than
yes.
because we all are needed because AI can do we can talk about multiple platforms of what AI can do, but what it can't do is be you and it can't be who you are. And it can't replicate the greatness that you have to provide to companies. So I want people to understand that we're just talking about platforms and tools that can assist, but more importantly, we want to also coincide the platforms and tools you're using with the culture of the company. So if you're working at a Bank of America, you're obviously handling sensitive information. You might not want to use certain AI tools.
Yeah.
You know, so we wanna be conscious of that. But you could maybe use ChatGPT for an email, but you might not want to put the whole spreadsheet in there and say, "Hey, reorganize the spreadsheet from A to Z," or something like that. So I think that it's a multitude of things that we need to think about when we are using AI to protect ourselves, protect our privacy, but then it can be a tool. So I wanted to exemplify that, but I see Misha, you had a hand up.
I did not. I'm sorry. It looks like I'm excited about this whole thing. I am. But I want to know how Kennesaw University, how they're adapting to the AI
Ooh,
society and the family enterprise office.
so the university as a whole is doing so much in AI, and I think a lot of universities are. And I know I teach a family business consulting course for undergrads, and I've been doing some course prep in there. And this topic that Mira is talking about of how do I not use AI to replace me, but to enhance me? What does that look like in the classroom? What does that look like with businesses? And it's such an interesting conversation because if you need like a crappy first draft, you can just ask ChatGPT. And like, I mean, with undergrads, sometimes that's all you ever get. And so
Yeah.
having to figure out ways to use the classroom as a means to enhance your skills and not just as a way to cheat. Like it's cheating
Mhm.
yourself. You're paying so much for an education. And so one of the things we're doing, and I think this would be a really cool exercise if maybe you were looking at a new target audience, or if you were wanting to practice with um, a specific person, if you were like practicing a sales pitch or something along those lines, is I have prompts that I have created that set the stage for a particular person. In my case, their family businesses for my students to practice with without actually causing any harm to a real family business. And the AI will respond in a way that is reflective of the members of the family business. And this is such an interesting way to approach a conversation that you're trying to have, whether it be with a prospect or maybe if you're having a difficult conversation, we're talking about leading teams. If you have a team member who's not behaving in a certain way and you want to practice the dialogue, because we don't get enough of that. We usually have really great teams that you don't have to have hard conversations with. So using AI in a way that strengthens who you are, it's a practice run. Instead of saying something and being like, "Ooh, I hated how that came out," type it into the AI and ask for some refinement.
I love that. I love the idea of role playing because not
Mm.
only does it highlight what the team member or other people may say, but it also shows what how you come across as a leader and the things that you may be saying that come across in a manner that makes people want to respond in that way. So I think that that also speaks to the leaders and the experts that are on the call that may have a team member that they feel like, oh my gosh, they just don't get it. I told you 1,000 times. And then it's like, but how are you communicating with that individual to make sure that they might not understand that style that you're
Yeah.
speaking to them in? So how can I show up to speak in a different way that's more relatable to the individuals that I'm trying to connect with? So if
Mhm.
my way doesn't work, okay, it didn't work this time. Let me show up to as a leader in another way that connects with my team members that so that they understand that they feel that I'm more relatable and I get across what I need to get done. So I think role playing is a big one. I think a lot of people they miss out on role playing a lot because it's just like something you used to do when you were playing as a kid, like when you're like playing school, you're like, oh my gosh, you're playing school, you've never been to school in your life, and now and now it's like you're at school, you don't want to play school no more. You're like,
I
this is
love
real.
that. So I don't know if you all use assessments like the DISC assessment for your team, but I
Right.
find it very helpful to know where my team falls on that assessment or whatever flavor is your preference. And then it's so easy to go in. Misha, are you a DISC fan?
Gallup.
Love DISC. So if you go in and you say, "Hey, here's the situation. Here's
Yeah.
how I want to respond," but I know my team is more of a D and I'm more of an I.
Mm-hmm.
Where's the miscommunication going to happen? And it's going to come back and it's going to say, "Sarah, you are just too many flowery words. You're not getting to the point. You need to
Hmm.
start with what you mean." And I'll be like, "Of course. I knew that's what they needed, but I forgot."
Hmm.
So I think the role playing is very underutilized.
So it's
Yeah.
so interesting that you mentioned that because we just had American speak about one of the clients we had. What was it, about 9 to 10 executives? And I love DISC. I have done DISC myself. However, after Gallup, I was hooked. It's a different animal. So Mira, what do you think, as in building a family business using the Gallup or the DISC tool, how does that grow a company? Because that really is kind of a secret AI for, I would say, back in the day type plugin. What did you think? Because that was your first time, Mira. So what did you think?
I thought it gave you a new outlook on maybe how people see you and you don't know how you're showing up to see yourself. Um,
Mm.
and it gives you words to put together to maybe why you act certain ways and why you do certain things that you do. So I think that that was a great tool to identify like, oh, this is why I'm this way, or this is why I do this because I'm I may be more demanding, or I may be more just straight to the point. And now by understanding that, and then understanding where other team members lay, you can understand how to communicate with people properly. That like kind of like what I was saying about the role playing,
To
but
get
doing
Neil
that.
on mute. Neil, you need to go on mute. Neil, you
I,
there?
I am here. I'm not saying anything.
You know
Is
we
that
can
my
hear you
keyboard?
typing. Yeah, you know we hear you typing. No, no, no. It's all we hear. Thank you, Neil. I appreciate you being here. I do. I really do. Don't go
Well,
anywhere.
I can only stay for a few more minutes. I've got a 6:30 that I'm running
No,
late
no,
to
no,
as
no,
well.
no,
So
no, no, no. You're gonna stay,
but
hopefully, but I appreciate you being here, Neil.
I'm gonna have to be saying
No,
toodaloo soon.
no, no. We got to get you and Sarah on together also. All right, let's keep on going because Neil's
Misha,
AI.
you said something really interesting, this idea of these personality assessments
Mhm.
being an old school AI. And I think that's an interesting take. I've never heard anyone say it quite like that before, but it makes sense. Oh, she left. Anyway,
Who, Mirah? She
oh
probably
yeah.
died. It's okay. She'll be back.
Okay. So
There she is right there. She's somewhere.
great.
There you go.
So I think that's such an interesting approach because it's this way to better understand ourselves and how to communicate with those around us. And that's one of my favorite things to use a generative AI that's text-based like
Mhm.
ChatGPT. Now there's lots of other ways to use AI, but I think finding ways to pick up on your own patterns and to strengthen your own communication, great parallel there. Also really helpful when we're thinking about family businesses across generations. So I often think of generative AI as being like a calculator. Like I can still do math, but why when the computer can do it faster? But I do know enough about math to look at it and say if I type in 2 plus 3 and it comes up 317, I know something is wrong. I typed something in wrong, the calculator's busted. I know enough to put some safety nets on it. Same as when you're having that conversation with your preferred generative AI. If you're having that conversation, it comes out with something really weird, you can pump the brakes, but still having that ability to engage at a quicker speed. I mean, I really think that's what calculators are for us. We're able to do more faster, but we still have to put parameters on it. We still have to question the math. We have to question the output.
And that
I
comes,
I agree with that. Oh, I'm back. I'm sorry. I don't know what happened.
yeah,
I
we
I don't
were,
know what happened at all. But I wanted to mention this framework that I love to talk about with individuals before they get into a team. And why this framework is important is because when we talk about AI, a lot of the times people are putting in AI things they don't want to do because they don't feel like doing it. But what about finding what you love to do? And what about finding what serves your purpose on this earth? And this framework is what you get paid to do, what you love to do, what your mission is. And this is the Ikigai framework. It is a 20-minute assessment test. It's free 99.
wait, icky guy. What is that? I'm sorry,
Ik-
y'all.
Ikigai is pretty what kind of what I just said, which is a what you love to do, what your mission is here on earth,
Uh-huh.
what you get paid to do, and then combining all three of those things and then finding out what is that thing that you would do no matter what. And it gives you the framework around finding your true guide of like who you are, what assessing who you are meant to be and what you should go after as your passion and something that you should think about getting paid for. So I'm gonna put a free, oh, I think she just dropped now. Okay. I'm gonna put a free test in the chat. This test is 20 minutes long. It is a free it's free, but it's to really start to understand who you are so that you can understand what value you're bringing to the team. And I think that that's where it gets the lines get blurred because you may be thinking you're bringing one value, but you're actually bringing another. So we want to be clear on the value we're bringing to the team and how we can show up with our strengths and knowing our weaknesses.
I like this idea of using AI to kind of understand ourselves and to better understand our team. I think that's really helpful. I also like, we've talked a little bit about the processes, the teamwork. How else would you suggest that we use AI in family businesses? I know
think
you
the
had a
big
couple of platforms you wanted to share.
Yeah, so we talked about the training and onboarding and using Scribe How. I'll put all these in the chat at the end of the call. Scribe How. And then we also talked about getting those meeting notes. So if you are not already, Outer or Fireflies is one of the great meeting notes I love to use. In my line of work, I read a lot of documents all day long. And some of those documents can range up to 150 pages. So I use, it's called Humanity, and Humanity reads through your PDF documents and you can tell them what are the important parts you're looking for, and it'll highlight those parts for you and it'll read through those documents for you. That's important for people that are maybe looking through just a ton of pages. They just, they need to get through those pages quickly and they need to be able to get the meat and potatoes out of them. As leaders, we might not have as much time, but we may need to review what is actually, do that double check for whoever has checked those documents to make sure that we got everything we need out of them. So, Humanity is one that I'll also put in the chat. And then we want to get creative. I'm sorry.
No, somebody loves, I just want to just address the chat just because you said chat. Amira's on your side, Sara, with this. And Neil, I want him to elaborate on his statement just a little bit. I think it helps you to understand how other people communicate too. So I think he's talking about our session 1 with me and Taylor.
Well, now I think that those tests they give you a little bit of perspective on how you communicate and how you think, but I think for the most part, everybody knows what they're coming to the table with. It helps you recognize what traits are in others so that you can tailor your communications towards them and hopefully have a better overall discussion, correspondence, connection. I think I think that's some of the benefits of some of those tests.
I agree.
Yeah, I agree.
I agree. This is, I don't know about the improvements on this. Let me just say that. I did this probably 10 years ago, maybe. If someone has done this in the last 3 years, go ahead, just raise your hand if you can. It is really good. And if someone can explain what the acronyms are, I'm gonna go ahead and co-sign it if I hear them right. I know D is dominant. Come on, Sara, come through for us. Come on.
Let me see. The D is dominant, and then the I is influence. S is steadiness. C is compliance.
You're a little shaky. You're a little shaky. You're a little shaky.
I'm not 100% on those.
But it makes sense. But guess what? I told you I did it 12 years ago. Do not believe anything that I'm saying right now.
I feel like I do a lot of these assessments. I don't give them, but I work with people who use them. And a lot of them are going to give you the same information in a slightly different font.
No,
and
you're
so, yeah, so whichever one you like, and I feel like I have a lot of people that like DISC.
Everybody
Yeah, and
DISC.
I'm good with whatever you use, but find some sort of assessment that your whole team can get behind. Because if everyone's speaking the same language, that's what really matters. Like, I'm not even going to be mad if you use Myers-Briggs, and I'm not a Myers-Briggs fan. That's probably one of the few
My
that I'm not
God,
a fan
even
of.
Neil was like, that's 85. Like, that's like 1985. Like,
But you know what? If your team all knows where you stand and you're using that to pattern your communication and to better understand each other, does the science back it? No, but I will support you doing anything you can to improve that communication.
we're not sponsoring any of these type of assessments. We're just
Mm-mm.
giving advice to assess your team.
Use something.
Assess
Use
your
something.
team to know who you're dealing with, because you wouldn't know if you're dealing with a dominant person to a competent person, a situational person. Just know who you're dealing with. And I think that goes back to, again, and we can rewind the tape and forward fast it back to AI, Mirah. So how would you put Icky? I've never heard of this guy in my life, or people. Like, how does that go? 20 minutes, and I'm telling you what comes out the register once I finish this 20 minutes.
You'll have an understanding of what your mission is, what your core values are, and what you would do just for money and what you would do for your true passion. So it's
Mm.
a well-rounded understanding of what is your purpose? And I think that's what everyone wants to know about their self. Yes, you want to be a part of a team, you want to be a part of something, but you also want to know what's your purpose. Like you may feel like you might be it's like I'm meant to be a star. I'm meant to be on the stage. And then you come to find out you're a great support. Your purpose may be you need to learn how to support and serve better.
Mm-hmm.
And you're busy going in one direction because maybe everybody else is going in that direction. And that looks like enticing, but that's not who you truly are once the train starts to slow down. So I think that gives it really gives you a better outlook on what is your purpose and your psychology of what type of person you are, if you're like more ingenuitive or if you're more like it gives you the understanding of the psychology of how you think and why you think that way after the 20 minutes. Um, and it just it's not like the disc, it's not like the Myers-Briggs, it's a little different. But it is personally for people. I just want to give an option for people that may not be on this call as a business owner right now today, or may not be a part of a family business today. Something for you to start to find your purpose and find what is it that you may want to do, and that answer may be to start a family business. But I
That's the
want to
answer. That's the answer.
so I
That's the
want
answer.
to give that I just wanted to give that resource to people to understand their self a little better because that really helped me as well. As I'm on the self-discovery journey, I guess we all are until the day comes. So so
Yeah.
um I back to leading teams and AI, I wanted this conversation to really talk about platforms. And I know some of us may know about different platforms, some of us may not, but I want to hear from the audience about different platforms they're using and how they're able to transform how they work as a team. So we're going to open up the floor for anybody who is a business owner or just wants to talk about being on a team in general.
Definitely. I'm just going to go ahead and open up the floor. Please do not ask me to bring you out from the audience behind the stage. But I will say this. I think it's probably most of the companies or family-owned businesses that's on the call tonight. It's not a big audience. What you're saying is absolutely amazing. But I think the thought that I want to make sure that I leave as you guys are thinking of the questions that you need to ask while we have Sara on the phone for your own family to grow, hopefully everybody has a family business. Everybody, no matter what you think. You have a family, and I promise you it's a family business because it's a whole contract in this family that I'm responsible for these people. I'm responsible for a roof over their head. I'm responsible for all of these things. we don't look at it like that. So if we don't have any questions on this call, that would be very interesting. So when I look at family business, you align it as if you're growing up and you're in a family, you just didn't even know it was a business, just to be honest, because you have the parents, you have the children, and you have their children. And when we look, most of us, maybe over 40s, maybe a couple of us, but we want to make sure that we leave our children's children something, even if it's an apple on the tree. These days, we decided, we ain't giving y'all nothing. We're going to live our best life. However, you're leaving them something, your last name, your genes, you're leaving them something. So the question that I would love for anyone to ask, I want you guys to ask the questions or give statements to people that's on the call that may can answer it. And do not be shy, because you ain't shy to be on this call with me. So
Okay, so let's
thank you,
start off.
Mirah.
Let's ask Neil, how do you feel like AI
Get
has
on, Neil.
Yes, yes.
Let me give you two thoughts.
Yeah.
The first one, I was speaking to the owner of the fifth largest mortgage company in the states, and it's a private company. I was not aware of this until, I don't know, probably 2 or 3 months ago, and it's called Kind Lending.
Mhm.
Um, it, as far as communication styles, the the owner of that, or the major player of that company, had said that he wants to make his values and his leadership known long before the interview process and the hiring process really begins, so that you can have employees or potential employees, if they're not a good fit, they self-select out. And that's just a constant reiteration of his message and what his company stands for. Um, on on platforms that I use that help me in my business, and I'm a small practitioner. I tend to use Chat GPT. I don't trust it for any legal analysis at all. Um, uh, but it's kind of good to help draft help draft a letter or an outline of a conversation or a presentation that I want to have. I'd like to hear what everybody else uses in their world.
So do you use Outer or Fireflies for any of your meetings?
No, no. Most of my business is transactional, so it's and a lot of that stuff I've built up over time, and I'm pretty good with going back to old documents and contracts and pulling out what I need here and there.
So
Tanika, do you have
I'm
anything?
getting it unstable and low bandwidth.
You're like the marketing girl. You're like AI.
So we use Perplexity, and so what that does, we use that to gather information from like trusted sources. It helps us with creative problem solving. It helps us with marketing strategies, just some, coming up with those innovative ideas and solutions.
that was something Misha said she loves Perplexity.
Love
Yeah,
Yes.
Perplexity is a good one. Does anyone else use Perplexity or know of Perplexity? It's like Google on steroids, honestly.
Mhm.
Like quick, and in a hurry. I'm gonna pick someone at random. Martha, what AI platforms do you and your team use?
We use Scribe,
Okay.
and I'm kind of on the outer edge of my family's business, so I'm learning and I'm not in the office every day, but Scribe has been a big one that we've used.
Okay. And you guys are using that to create your guides, or what are you using that to communicate as a team?
We use it to communicate as a team, but also to take notes when we have meetings.
Okay. Oh, okay. So yeah, it's like an all-in-one
Mhm.
situation. Um, it's
Right. Right.
Yeah, that's a good one. And I think that that is a good one if you are if you like they create everything from SOPs. It's very similar to Scribe How. They may be a subsidiary of Scribe How, honestly.
We use the Otter. So if I
Mhm.
wasn't here, Otter would jump in and just take notes, right? And it's either connected to you and it's just a note taker to come in and someone would say, no, we don't want your Otter here to take the notes, but I don't have to be here and I'll get the notes back. So, which I love that tool. They usually kick Otter out because nobody wants them there to bring in those type of notes, right, Mirah? So
Yeah.
I mean, and then we have that end-to-end management tool that we use that anytime that we are facilitating a Zoom or any type of call like this, we always have a note taker. And it just automatically comes in. I'm not sure what it's connected to, but that comes in automatically. So, I mean, the AI features are really, really amazing. I want to hear
And
something different though, like
I
something.
mean, Scribe is very, very different. It's actually an optimization platform for teams, and it has multitude of integrations. And also it can track data. So Scribe is an all-in-one platform that does more than just track your meetings. It also tracks your operations. Documentations and SOPs can be created. It's very optimal, and it also has that communication platform within it, like, and it could integrate with your systems, anything from SharePoint to ClickUp. So I think that Scribe is a very well-rounded 360 platform. I want to hear from another industry. Amira, what do you guys use any AI platforms in your company?
No, not presently. We don't use AI platforms. I mean, you could use it for communicating within emails, but not so much in finance world.
Okay. And I kind of figured that. I just wasn't aware because now I walk into banks and it's so many new things they have, like even how they count their money now is different. So it's like, it's just a whole different world. So I never know what I'm going to get in the finance world these days. But I guess because it's personal information, they're still keeping that, secure as possible.
There's other ways to integrate AI into what we're doing. So it doesn't always have to be generative in that way. It doesn't have to necessarily be producing text. So I know in my personal life, I have an AI assistant in my calendar. And so I
Oh
put my
yeah.
to-dos in the calendar and it automatically plugs it in to ensure that I don't overbook myself. I find that to be really helpful.
Yeah.
And then we also use one for event planning within our office. And so this looks like we took the time to create the SOPs and put them into the platform. And then the platform will track the progress on everything we're
Mhm.
doing and auto feed it into different people's calendars. And so I find that to be very helpful and it's not really a security risk. Like we're not feeding client information in it.
Mhm.
You can put, just whatever title you want on it, but that way events don't fall through the cracks.
And what is that
Also,
called?
that's called Motion AI, Motion with
Okay.
an
Yep.
M.
Okay. Yep.
There is one other one I use called Descript, Descript. It's for like audio and video. So we do a lot of blogging. So we would do like an audio version of that, but put it in like a podcast style, to sort of like increase our search rankings. So like turning our blogs into an audio format.
And do they have selected voices on there, like where it sounds like
Um,
it's like such a real voice?
well, we clone our voices.
Oh, okay, your actual voice. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I actually seen something on Google has something where it could make it sound like it's someone else's voice, but it sounds so real. It's
Mhm.
ridiculous. But now the clones
Yeah.
sound so real, it's ridiculous. I
Yeah.
can't decipher.
Too
I
much.
can't decipher. I'm gonna actually put all of the chats that we talked about. Oh, yep, right there. I'm gonna put all of the resources that we talked about in the chat, just in case you guys want to check them out, see if it's anything that you might can use
Mhm.
on your own time, or just expand on new AI platforms that's out there.
To
Um,
build your family business,
thank
right?
you.
To build your family business,
Yeah.
to
Yes.
see how the family business are, have been built in the past, to know that most of these big businesses are 60, 70% built on a family foundation, is not working for anyone. I don't mind. I've worked for people my whole life. But make sure that you just understand. Sara and Mirah is here. Sarah's here to really give us the insight that we miss. And I'll say this, and this is gonna be out the left park, Sara. So she wasn't ready. She's so good as she's about to say. I was seeing something in her team, managing partners. So as we go over titles and the
Mm.
difference between family businesses and family offices and structures, Sara, we have to talk about complete structure and how you're still telling the story correctly in the form
Yes.
way. Because when I seen the title you put, I was like, oh, okay.
The title for what specifically? For this
Stephanie
program?
put, right, she was like managing partner. And I was like, oh, seriously? Okay. So, but it made me look at the bigger picture, at other ways to describe your business, to describe an office.
Wait.
Yes. So it's again kind of going back to what we were talking about earlier, in that we need to find what actually matters to people. You can throw all sorts of money, time, and energy into resources, but if they don't matter, then it's not going to apply. And so one of the things I feel like we talk about a lot is like childcare. So for example, I have a family business that they just brought the third generation into the business. I think they just turned one. They've been working for about 9 to 11 months. They come in every single day, dedicated employee. And so that family business is set up so that there's a place set in the office, and that's okay because that matters. But if you don't have employees that have children, that might not matter. And so setting up an in-office daycare isn't where it is. But some people, the prestige of a title or the corner office or the ability to flex their own work hours. So I have one team member that comes in 7:30 to 3:30 and another who does 8 to 4 because that's better. And then I'm coming in 9 to 5 and here we are at 7 still together.
Mhm.
And so these little things like a title, like childcare, might be more valuable to your business that or to your employees than ownership stakes, because not everyone wants to own a business. There's a lot of paperwork involved. It's a lot. It's just a lot. And so finding out what people want really helps you to manage your team better, especially as we have the younger generation coming in. We've got Gen Z in the office. A lot of them, they've been with AI for years and they probably won't remember much pre-AI. Whereas
Mhm.
I'm like, oh, I remember when I had to look this up. Like we didn't even have Wikipedia. So just knowing these generational differences and understanding what is important to your employees is where you should be spending your time and energy. And can I do a plug, Misha?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
If you are on this call with us, we have some programming coming up that may be of interest to you. So we have an in-person workshop where we're going to talk about developing bench strength. So if you're wanting to essentially work yourself out of a job, which I feel like every business owner's dream right there, build up your team to the point that they can manage what's going on, build that bench strength. We have a workshop on that next month. And we also have a mini class on AI. So you'll get some hands-on, again, in-person experience dealing with these platforms. Not all of the ones that Mirah said, because she shared so many good ones, but we'll take a deeper dive into those. And so if any of those programs interest you, put your email in the chat and my team will message you either tomorrow or Thursday with the information about getting you registered for free. So as a thank you for attending, put your email in the chat and you can join us for free.
And be
And
down.
with that being said, I think we're at our time. Um, I thank you again, Dr. Sara, for the time that you have spent with us today. Thank you, Misha. Thank you for everyone that has spent their 6 o'clock afternoon fresh off of work with us to learn about how they can make their team better. And I just want to leave you guys with this message. To if you are a business owner or if you are working in a business right now, continue to believe in yourself and know that better is coming. And I hope that all of you guys stay blessed and have a great night.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it, Sara. I will let you close out the meeting for us.
All right. It was great seeing everyone. Thank you for coming. Misha, thanks for hosting as you always do. So lovely. And I look forward to see you all at the next one.
Absolutely. See you next month. Have a
See
good
you
one, guys.
guys soon.
Alrighty. Bye-bye.